You know that picture we all have of the samurai? The stoic warrior, totally driven by this internal code of honor. But what if I told you that legendary code wasn't about honor at all? What if it was really a practical guide for dealing with something much, much more terrifying? A world filled with vengeful spirits. So let's ask that question directly. Was the famous code of Bushido really about personal virtue? Or was it created for something else entirely? To manage a force that was ancient, powerful, and frankly, deeply frightening? We all know the romantic image, right? The warrior who's a master of his emotions, bound by loyalty and incredible discipline. It's this powerful idea of noble self-control that we've seen in countless movies and stories. But what if that image is missing a crucial and a much darker piece of the puzzle? Okay, and this is where everything takes a sharp turn. The key, it seems, lies in what some historians call the raw, animistic terror of the spirits, or kami, that were believed to live inside a samurai's sword. The real battle wasn't an internal struggle for virtue. It was a defense against an external, spiritual danger. Now, to really get this, we have to understand the concept of kami. In Shinto, the ancient faith of Japan, kami are not some distant gods up on a cloud. No, they are sentient spirits, divinities that pulse through everything. Rocks, rivers, trees, you name it. The world wasn't just some empty stage for people to act on. It was alive, and it was watching. And this aliveness, it could be threatening. The landscape itself could be vengeful. You had kami living in those ancient forests, in the rushing rivers, and the towering mountains. For a warrior, this wasn't just pretty scenery. And that spiritual energy wasn't just out there in nature. It was believed to be concentrated in the single most important object they owned, their blade. And that right there, that gets to the absolute heart of this idea. A samurai sword wasn't just a piece of forged steel. It was a vessel, a home for a powerful kami. Now, this spirit is what gave the blade its deadly power, but it also had a consciousness of its own, and that consciousness could be volatile, even dangerous, if you didn't handle it with respect. This brings us to the central problem, doesn't it? If your primary tool for survival has a mind of its own, a powerful spirit living right inside it, how on earth do you control it? How do you make sure it works for you and not against you? You can't just command it, you have to negotiate. This completely reframes everything. The popular idea of Bushido, the old view, is all about an internal struggle for virtue. It's focused on the warrior's mind. But this new perspective suggests it was an external practice, a kind of spiritual technology. The goal wasn't mastering your own mind, it was appeasing the spirit within your blade. The source of control wasn't internal discipline, but external ritual and respect. So, how did this spiritual technology actually work? Well, it was a pretty practical three-step process. First, and most importantly, you had to acknowledge that the blade was a living being. Second, you had to perform rituals of respect. Careful cleaning, bowing to it, proper storage. These weren't just maintenance chores, they were acts of reverence. And the whole goal, step 3, was to appease that spirit inside, making sure its deadly power stayed on your side. So what this really means under this interpretation is that honor wasn't some abstract philosophy you debate, not at all. It was a practical user's manual for a world that was alive with terrifying spirits. Your code of honor was your first and maybe your most important line of defense against the supernatural forces that could literally destroy you. And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. If the samurai's code of honor was really a form of spiritual technology, it kind of makes you wonder, what other virtues that we value today are just forgotten tools? Tools for navigating a world that we've completely forgotten how to see.